So the game Mixtape has recently been released and has become a complete and total critical darling, with it receiving perfect review scores across the board, including the coveted IGN 10 out of 10. The game is an undeniable critical success. Now, with this massive critical success, you would think the game would be labeled as an all-timer, along the lines of something like GTA 4, BioShock, and the original Half-Life, right? Well, the gaming community's opinions didn't exactly sway to that of the critics. The game has been massively derided by the general gaming community for multiple reasons, some of which may be valid, others not so much. But a lot of the hate seems to stem from the fact that the game is so widely praised by traditional gaming outlets that the populace did not believe it was worthy of the rating. This also comes from the recent IGN review of Mouse PI, in which the reviewer gave the game a 6 out of 10, a rating the gaming community deemed was sacrilegious to the quality of the game itself. And as such, we're looking for their pound of flesh to prove IGN's hypocrisy once again. Now, I have not actually played either of these games, so I cannot exactly comment on the quality of either of them. But it got me thinking, and it wants me to ask a very prevalent question. To the people who have actually seen these games, I have one simple question for you. Did these reviews ever actually change your opinion? A trend I've noticed among the gaming community is that it tends to act as a hive mind. That is to say, what ends up happening is that the community ends up making a specific opinion the tolerated opinion, and treats any dissenting voices as those who wish to degrade the medium. Now, you're probably wondering what this has to do with these reviews. Well, the reason why I bring this hive mind mentality up is because these games epitomize it, albeit to different degrees. Mouse PI is a boomer shooter along the lines of something like Ultra Kill. Now, boomer shooters have been seeing a large mainstream resurgence, arguably because of Ultra Kill, and are one of the only genres that still has prevalence in this roguelite-infested landscape we now live in. The game has been hyped up since as early as 2023, when the tech demo footage was released, and since then it has become a massive success with loads of audience acclaim. So when IGN reviewed the game and gave it a 6 out of 10, people were pissed, to say the least. Loads of YouTube critics called the review stupid and painted it as another win for the indie dev scene, claiming that the game befuddled IGN and that IGN was secretly too dumb to understand it. However, when I went to watch the review that everyone was so pissed about, I was surprised. Not in the fact that I found myself agreeing with the review. Like I said, I never actually played the game, so I can't exactly comment as to whether the game or the review was good or bad in context of the game's quality. But what I was surprised with was how toxic the replies to the review were. There was absolutely zero positive discussion in the comment section, not a single person there willing to engage the review in good faith, and instead just shit-slinging and saying some completely stupid shit meant to deride the reviewer and the medium in which he published. It seems like the people here weren't actually looking to be constructive with the review and discuss where it went wrong, but rather were just looking for a pound of flesh for someone insulting their indie darling. And if you were to look at other indie games that have negative reviews, you will find similar deridement. Hell, there's an entire genre of YouTube videos that basically do nothing but debunk negative Steam reviews of popular indie games or games that have positive public reception. Indie games are actually the epitome of this whole toxic positivity issue that the gaming community has, but that is just a topic for another video. My real point is that the game itself was clearly not hurt by that negative review. The public already made up its mind about the game and said it was good. So when IGN went against the public consensus, the gaming community decided to punish them with nothing but ridicule. Now, as for Mixtape, this was the game that absolutely nobody was talking about before it released. Like, I am someone who is chronically online to a fault, and yet I did not hear a single thing about this game at all until the controversy about its reviews. And if you were to look at the comments of this game's trailer before the game's release, you would find that they were all pretty much universally positive. I mean, there might be a bit of dissent, but they're still universally positive. But oh my god, now that the game was released and the controversy has actually come out, people have been saying shit about this game that have really painted the gaming community in a hypocritical light. You have people just calling it millennial theater kid slop, like Just Say Steven.
People who played it are calling out the overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. So obviously I had to try the game myself, and I have to agree with this statement, it's just millennial theater kid slop.
Which is rich, considering the type of content he makes can actually be classified as slop. You have the people calling it fake indie and an industry plant, and then you have the people salty that the game had a better review score than Mouse PI and are just flinging shit around for no reason. Now, I haven't played this game either, so I can't exactly comment on this quality exactly the same I couldn't with Mouse PI, but after seeing everything about this game, I'm just curious, what exactly is so problematic about this game that the entire community is up in arms about it? What is so bad about this game? Walking simulators and movie-like games have existed since, well, forever. We have games like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, Dear Esther, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. I mean, for God's sake, Telltale Games, The people who arguably popularized this genre are so beloved that their games have been regarded as some of the best of all time, and most of them have basically no gameplay in them to begin with. And as for the industry plant allegation, the company who published Mixtape was Annapurna Interactive, the same people who also published the beloved indie game The Outer Wilds. And that game was, and still is, widely regarded as an indie darling. And this is not the only indie game they have published. Stray, What Remains of Edith Finch, Neon White, all of which are considered indie by the gaming space, and have never, either before or since, been dubbed as industry plants. Now, whether or not they should be considered industry plants is a separate topic entirely. But the fact that the community has seemingly dubbed this game an industry plant, while conveniently forgetting the other games the studio published and not retroactively dubbing them as plants, is inherently hypocritical, and screams that their issue with the game isn't actually the corporification of the term indie, but rather the fact that the game was critically acclaimed when they did not deem it so. Add on the fact that basically no one complaining about the game even cared to be morally consistent enough to actually play it, and you have a prime example of a pointless controversy that shows the gaming high-mind in action. Those near-perfect reviews and accolades meant nothing. The public made up its mind and deemed the game to be terrible. And because IGN said it was a masterpiece when the public said it wasn't, they met them with ridicule and hatred on every front. And this is my point. When has a review that has gone against the public consensus ever swayed people away from a game? Did Mouse PI 6 out of 10 sway anyone who was considering playing the game not to play it? Did Mixtape's 10 out of 10 make anyone actually see the game in a positive light? No. Neither of the reviews did anything. If anything, all they did was fuel the fire and made the game either more popular or just sent the horde on a game that literally had no reason to be derided. And this isn't even the first time this has happened. With IGN alone, we had Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, Last of Us Part 2, Alien Isolation, Deathloop, Test Drive Unlimited 2, Sonic Unleashed, Doom 2016, and countless others. All are games that IGN had reviewed that went against the public consensus. And every single one of those reviews, depending on the type of review it was, either had a negative effect on the game's reputation if the review was positive, or had a zero impact on the game's reputation if it was negative. It seems like the public only regards IGN as a punching bag that has no real value to the games industry. So why does the community place so much value on their takes if everyone doesn't even care when they get it right? What is the point of pointing out a bad review if you never had faith in the reviewer or the platform to begin with? And as for the positive reviews, why do people even care? If the positive reviews were paid for, I would get it, but there's zero reason to indicate that those positive reviews were paid for to get the scores they did in the slightest, other than baseless conspiracy theories made by people salty that Silksong didn't get us 10 out of 10. And if it wasn't paid for, that just meant the reviewer enjoyed the game. And what exactly is wrong with that? What is so wrong about enjoying a game that, from what I've seen, is effectively harmless? So much so that you have to police and gaslight the entire gaming community to thinking it's nothing but a garbage game that only paid chills can find enjoyment out of. In my eyes, if something has no effect, it should not concern us. And the least that I can do is that I can ask for you to have no concern about it too. I'm Lucky Penny, thank you for watching.